So I'm going to just read this opening intro. On Thursday, September 26th, I visited Erie Community College South Campus and observed a college level course called Intro to Rhetoric taught by Dr. John Harrigan. Standard college class, like we've all been through, 15-week schedule, meets Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 12:15. It consisted of 22 students, six of them being women, so mostly males. So the course I observed was very interesting. It's a course about teaching adult learners the the importance of rhetoric, how to speak, what to say, when to say it. This particular lesson was taught. Um, this particular lesson was about rhetoric as far as defending yourself, like in a courtroom or something like that. Like he brought up examples and can't remember exactly, so I could be kind of wrong, but I think they went back all the way to rhetoric beginning in the courtroom. I think in like the Roman times. Um, that's kind of like where it first started, where you can either represent yourself in a court in front of everyone or have someone represent you can have someone represent for you on your behalf. um, so the course was just about it was basically about that, like how do you respond, how can you be convincing using your words. And the course is very interactive. It was very entertaining and interactive. In fact, I remember more about the stories he told because he was like doing a lot of storytelling. I remember more about the stories he told than the actual lesson of the course, which was good because the story he told tied everything into the whole rhetoric situation and defending yourself, um, based on what you believe and things like that. And he was very Q&A with the class, like just keeping them, for an hour and 15 minutes, just keeping them active. Like, hey, have you ever been in a situation where you had to defend yourself in court or traffic court? And six or so students will, raise their hand and give their piece and everything like that. Um, but the biggest takeaway was the story he told. Now he chopped the story up into like maybe five different parts in between his PowerPoint slides. He taught on PowerPoint, so he had regular slides and things like that. So the story was about his uncle, Uncle Marty, I believe. Now his Uncle Marty wasn't really his uncle. It was a friend. It was his dad's friend, and because him and his dad were friends, because Marty and his dad were friends, my professor name is John. John and Marty's son, Dan, I believe, were also best friends because their fathers were best friends. So now this is a story he told. So now Marty was a very big guy, very polarizing guy, and very fearful just by his stature. Um, so one day, Dan got in trouble in school and had a fight, and Dan was too scared to tell Marty, tell his father Marty what happened. So he told John. He said, "John, I'm going to lie to my dad about what happened. I'm just going to tell him that we were in a lacrosse accident." And John's like, "Okay, cool." And then Dan's like, "Yeah, but I need you to back up my story in case my dad say anything." And John's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, I'm not lying to Uncle Marty. Like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, he would kill me if he found out I lied. He'll probably kill me quicker than he kill you just for lying." And he's like, "No, no, no. Trust me, it'll be fine. My dad's probably not even gonna bring it up. But if he does bring it up, just tell him that I was hit by a lacrosse ball." So John reluctantly agreed. So finally, the situation came where Uncle Marty did eventually ask John what happened to Dan's eye. And John said, we were playing lacrosse, and he came up with this elaborate story, and, I threw it and just hit him in the eye, and, that was it. And Marty's response was, "Well, that's funny because Dan told me that he was in a fight in school, and that's how he got the black eye." So what ended up happening was when it came down to it, Dan was too scared to lie to his father, but failed to tell John that he changed his mind about lying. So now John just sitting there terrified, like, wow, I just lied to you. What is about to happen? And Uncle Marty's response was, I don't like that you lied to me, but I appreciate that Dan has a friend who would lie for him in spite of the consequences that he had. He's grateful that he has a friend that had his back. So this story concludes with eventually, as they got older, Uncle Marty passed away, and John, being a professor now, especially a professor of rhetoric, was asked to speak for his eulogy. So he agreed, of course, anything for Marty. And when he called HR, he called the school HR and said, "Hey, I need to take a personal day, a bereavement day. Actually, I need to take a bereavement day to do this eulogy, and I want to go to the funeral and do the eulogy, or anything like that." And the HR person asked, "Well, is this a family member?" And John paused, and the HR person said again, "Is this a family member? That's the only way I can approve this bereavement." And John, understanding what Marty meant to him, no, it wasn't technically his uncle, but he was more blood than, in his mind, he was more blood than anybody in his family. So John's response to that was, "Yes, he is my Uncle Marty." And then John ended the class saying, "I told the HR lady, yes, that is my Uncle Marty, and it was not a lie." And that's how the class ended.